as all of you know, that Gujarat Vidyapith, founded in 1920 in the wake of non-cooperation movement, and give an alternative system for education for those who want to separate them from current British education system of that time. And during that period, immediately after 1920, establishment of Gujarat Vidyapith, non-cooperation movement started, and Gujarat Vidyapith has also initiated to take part in this program. And the original establishments, when Gujarat Vidyapith was founded, Gandhiji invited Dr. Gidwani from Oxford. Similarly, Acharya Kriplani also came to Gujarat Vidyapith. Kaka Kalelkar was a part of that, and very well known educationist of the time, Maganbhai Desai, was also an Acharya. Later on, many cherished writers, thinkers, religious scholars like Swami Jinvijayji were part of Gujarat Vidyapith, and the contribution so far are more than 450 original books in Gujarati, Hindi, English, and some other languages. Gujarati Standard Dictionary, which is very well known in the form of Jodhani Kosh. It was started with the initiatives of Mahatma Gandhi, and now this dictionary, Gujarati dictionary, is the standard dictionary which is acclaimed equal credit in government as well as non-government language, where the Jodhani Kosh is the basis of the grammar to be utilized in the different words. So this is the contribution, and newer and newer editions are coming out of Gujarat Vidyapith, and it is a gift to the society. Similarly, Gandhiji has transformed during this time the entire Gujarati language from the Shakshar language or Pandit language to the language of the common people. And therefore, when Gujarat Vidyapith was established, over and above to prepare the grassroots workers, the importance of the Gujarati, Swabhasha, Matrubhasha, as well as Hindi, Hindustani, they were the prime objectives among several objectives of the Gujarat Vidyapith at that time. Over and above Swadeshi, character building, Sarva Dharma Sambhav, this language was very much dear to the heart of Gandhiji. And when Gandhiji left for Champaran, after coming to Ahmedabad in 2015, he has wrote a letter to the donors that I want the amount for 4 purposes. One, to do for the Harijan Seva. Second, to start a national institute for education. And the other objectives are for the Hindi, Hindustani. So this was the cause dear to Gandhiji, and Gujarat Vidyapith was established at that time. Currently, we have 3 campuses at Ahmedabad city and Sadra and Randeja, and most of people know Gujarat Vidyapith as a living heritage of Gandhi's principles of education to be practiced at Gujarat Vidyapith. Though with the time, there is some erosion in the practicing in the current scenario, but still Gujarat Vidyapith has a responsibility to keep the pace with the simultaneously with the modern science, modern approach, modernization, use computers, IT, other facilities, and simultaneously to remain with their roots to the original objectives. So we have 12 undergraduate and 17 PG and PhD programs, which includes computer science, microbiology, master in social welfare, languages, physical education, and education. And since inception, community living is compulsory for all and fully residential students. So daily routine starts with the prayers, Samu Pratna, Samu Safai, Samu Bhojan, and Udyog. It is a part of curriculum during the daytime. Community services and training is also given all Gujarat Vidyapit students. Their Gram Jivan Padayatra is a unique learning experience. All campus has green and environment friendly practices for water conservation, reuse, and recycle. And those who want to work in rural area after their study, Gujarat Vidyapit supports a program which is known as Gram Shilpi, Rural Architect, who are working in a remote area but creating unique transformation of the village and surroundings in sanitation, skill development, organic farming, and many other activities of health and education, and the benign way of new earning by rural youth. So this is a flagship project for more than a decade. In this background, I just want to talk about this Naitalim philosophy, because whatever Vidyapit is doing today is not in the mainstream. It is slightly different than the mainstream, and yet we are keeping space with the time. Those who will be interested in Naitalim philosophy behind it and experiments done, several reports are available, as Gujarat has spearheaded more than 1,000 Bunyadi schools and rural schools, and particularly ashram shalas, especially in the tribal area also. So, National Council of Rural Education, now which is transformed into Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education, has earlier initiated study around 2000 and later on, and there were 25 volumes which are prepared on 25 different Gram Vidyapit and rural schools across Gujarat and tribal region of Gujarat. This is the unique experiment, and we have forgot this experiment. Otherwise, if this experiment would have been percolated to the national stream, then I think that the transformation of our rural education, transformations to our school education, transformation to decentralized education and affordable education would have been the Marvel program and flagship program for any government to be taken up. So, Gujarat Vidyapit programs, those who are interested can get more detailed pedagogy. Now all these institutional works are recorded for in books and various journals. I am also happy to note that this lecture note presentation is under the auspices of Azadi Amrut Mahotsav. The Gujarat Vidyapit is much more appropriate for this cause, because since inception, Gujarat Vidyapit was 3 times involved in the Swaraj movement, including the Dandi movement, where our 6 teachers and Chancellor Gandhiji himself, they were part of the Dandi movement. And wherever Gandhiji has gone in Dandi Yatra, the team of Gujarat Vidyapit, Arun Tukdi, was going prior to him and giving him the surveys of the villages, on basis of which Gandhiji has given several lectures during the course of his historical Dandi Kuch. So Gujarat Vidyapit has found closures after Dandi March 1930-31, even in 1942, and at many other times. So this is how the Gujarat Vidyapit and history of Indian freedom struggle goes together. Few other things I also want to like to know like to inform you people that the few years back, Gujarat Vidyapith has, along with Publications Division, prepared electronic searchable copy of 60,000 pages of collected works of Mahatma Gandhi. Now it is fairly available by Publications Divisions as well as in Gujarat Vidyapith and various places. Currently, the Hindi version of Sampurna Gandhi Vangmai, again 100 volumes and 60,000 pages, are under progress for digitalization for electronic searchable copy of this volume. And Dinaben Patel, a very ardent Gandhian scholar, she is looking after that. We also will be happy to have any joint proposal under Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, where very scholarly written original books in Gujarati to be translated into Hindi and English. And even IGNOU and Gujarat Vidyapith can together with the joint human resources can go for wonderful publications in the days to come. So with this background note, let me come back to our original subject. And as we all understand very well, the concept of Naitalim, it was not a overnight phenomena by Mahatma Gandhi ji. From 1892, experimental with the children in the family. Then 1905, Phoenix Ashram, and several letters written to Gokhale. Then 1908, Hind Swaraj. Then 1908, Tolstoy Farm. 1917, that is the Kocharab Ashram. 1915 and 1917, Sabarmati Ashram. All these experiments had led to the establishment of Gujarat Vidyapith, and to have the experiments on education as well as higher education, from primary to the top-notch education. Gandhi was very much concerned. So when Gujarat Vidyapith was established, a person who had no degree, but he was a learned with the several languages and Oriental studies, and studied several hundred manuscripts. Jin Vijay ji was given charge of the in charge of the Oriental Study Institute, Puratattva Mandir, which was started in 1920 by Sardar Patel and Mahatma Gandhi. So several hundred books and original textbooks were transformed from Urdhmagdi and other languages, and it has seen daylight because of this Puratattva Mandir. So Gandhiji was a real visionary, and 1920, when Gujarat Vidyapith was started, he said that this is the unique experiment done by Bania, which was inaugurated by Praful Chandra Roy, and the Vidyapith was started with the handful people, but later on many scholarly people joined at that time, Pandit Sukhdevji and many other scholars, Jain scholars, Buddhist scholars, Swami Anand, and so many people, that Gujarat Vidyapith flourished during the freedom struggle 1920 to 1948. And simultaneously, concept of Gandhiji regarding Naitalim was continuously developed. After 1917 Champaran, then in 1936 he has written in Harijan, and then 1920 we had a meeting in Gujarat Keroni Parishad, which was the cause for starting Gujarat Vidyapith. But up to that, 1937 was the declaration where Zakir Hussain Committee was established, and they have given their view, which was contrary to the routine education and current education scenario of India at that time. And then final vision came in 1945. If we look at the development of this education system by Gandhi, the Hind Swaraj is the first one, and Varda Declaration of 1937 is the second one, which was on the basis of his earlier experiment of various places, including Ahmedabad and Maganwadi at Varda. And the philosophy was that education is an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. Such highest development of the mind and soul is possible by beginning the teaching scientifically through a useful handicraft having the potential of inspiring maximum number of concepts and also enabling the child to work in a cooperative style and become sound in body, mind and character. In 1944, the Gandhi was, when he was, his jail term was over, the new vision was given that education is for all stages of life, preschool to adult education, and is a process of teaching and the art of life through cooperative problem-solving contexts with a view to achieve non-violence, voluntary discipline, cooperative coexistence, and Purna Swaraj. Thus, education for life through life and throughout life. If we look back the difference between the Naitalim and mainstream, the object of mainstream was to acquire knowledge acquisition from different career directions, while Naitalim was to prepare perfect human being with proper links between theories and practice, self and society. The approach of mainstream education was for a competitive world of work through a competition-based information feeding, while Naitalim was education for life and through life in a cooperative style. The evaluation, the examination to test information stored was the mainstream, while Naitalim education was evaluation of teachers' success in inspiring and instructing theory and practices. Similarly, the medium of instruction in the mainstream education, it may be the mother tongue or English medium, but Naitalim has always emphasized mother tongue at least in first 3 years of school, and then the work is the language of learning in Naitalim. So this is how the Gandhi's philosophy was developed. Even in higher education, the approach of Naitalim is to create leadership in social, economic and governance, and to recreate and create technology and management oriented functionaries besides being enlightened citizens. So this is how the Naitalim and mainstream has major difference. The other major difference is that the mainstream is asking for the rulership, while the Naitalim is asking for the leadership leading by action. Mainstream instructions through international curriculum, Naitalim through creative problem solving, the content international and in some programs case studies, and no concept of self-reliance, while Naitalim is always for the self-reliance insisted. So affordable education, decentralized education, and the rural-centric education was a part of Naitalim, so that if rural education system is developed and expanded, then there will be rush to the city will be minimized, and people will be trained, skilled at their own places. And what our current chancellor says as a Anubandh, 100 kilometers radius self-reliance villages and cluster of villages will be fully achieved by the Gandhian vision of Naitalim. So currently we are at the stage of the paradise lost and rediscovered in the language of former vice chancellor of Gandhigram Rural Institute, and who have also done many experiments at Chitrakut, that is Dr. T. Karunakaranji. And Karunakaranji has revisited as a scientist and technologist, and he wanted that how we can go ahead with the Gandhian learning, particularly in the modern concept, and particularly going for the rural-centric technology and appropriate technology. And I think that many scientists and prime scientists of India, they have endorsed the view. For example, we know that Professor R.A. Mashelkar, Director General of CSIR, and one of the top scientists, has developed the concept of Gandhian engineering. And he says that more from less for more. So the resource are got from the less people, but it will be for the more people, because the structure and economic fabric of India is more on the number of hands, working hands, and to give them work is the prime necessity. And this pandemic of corona has alerted us that how fragile is our rural economy, as well as how fragile is our health system. If it is not properly feeded well and trained well, then it will be a total failure from the societal part, government part, and many others. So this is how the things have worked. Now I just want to give few examples of some of the very prominent work which was carried out by the Gram Vidyapit. Many of you are aware about Nanabai Bhatt's contribution in Naitalim, and then Manubai Pancholi. The Lok Bharti, which is in the Bhavnagar district, and Lok Bharti has developed without any major government funding or Indian Council of Agriculture Research funding, a unique variety of wheat, which is known as Lok 1 variety. Now this Lok 1 variety is now utilized by several farmers who are growing wheat, and almost 40 to 50% of the farmers of India last few decades, they have utilized this variety for growing that wheat. It is a very tough variety, all weather proof, and many farmers have gained out of that. Now you can just see that without any big infrastructure, but with the big commitment from the Gram Vidyapit that we want to offer the farmers one of the best variety of wheat, and it has withstood 4 decades. After 4 decades, people are still after the Lok 1. So this is how the contribution of such Naitalim institutes, and who are working at a very remote place, they have contributed very well. I just want to also cite that our telecom scientist of international repute, Dr. Sham Pitroda, I was talking to him that what led you to decide that the rural network is very much essential. And what he said to me is that I was studying in a Bunyadi school, and I was studying in the Ashram Sala, and therefore the Gandhian concept of the facilities to be created was very much in my mind. So instead of going to metropolis cities networking, I first put the proposal that all rural places are to be connected with the villages, are to be connected with a national network, so that the communication will be faster for the each and every rural person. So I think that this is really a Gandhian approach of Naitalim, and how the decentralization and augmentation of resources and to be utilized very judiciously can create wonders for the entire society. So this is how I just want to cite. I also want to cite one of the school which is run by Gujarat Vidyapit at the birthplace of Ravi Shankar Maharaj. It is a Bochasan school where we have a good land, and in Bochasan, 80% supply, that is milk, agro products, vegetables, fruits, grains, and pulses, they are met with by the labor of students. And these students who are in the Ashram Sala, they are basically working for some time, and they are growing their own requirements. So we can say that our 80% food requirement and milk requirement is completed within our campus and within the land utilization of our campus by the labor of the students. And this is a unique experiment which Gandhiji wanted to be there in each and every villages of India. So these are the some experiments and success stories of the Naitalim, which I just want to cite to all of you on this occasion. I also want to remember that there are two streams when independence came. After Bardoli Satyagraha, Sardar Patel understood the value of the agriculture research, and therefore, by donating more than 35 lakhs at that time, the agriculture college in Anand was established. Later, it was transformed into wonderful agriculture university, and many things have taken place. And simultaneously, the other thing is that over an agriculture, only agriculture cannot sustain. There should be simultaneously animal husbandry also. And therefore, Sardar Patel and Tribunbhai Patel, they invited Dr. Kurian, and we know that the experiment of cooperative Amul was started during that time and where it has reached today. So this is how the many pre-independence programs which has seen several decades of success stories, and then things have happened. On other side, we know that the self-reliance and indigenization has taken by the Nehruvian concept of development, that no resources should go to the private hands. It should go to the government, and therefore we know that oil, gas, even rare earth and uranium and other things, they rest for several decades and still today with the government, and many giant industries have come up. IITs, UGC, CSR lab, atomic energy, heavy industries, all were developed during that period. And the indigenization and self-reliance, the atomic energy people, they were not allowed to import anything unless it is required. So indigenous development of technology, mechanical engineering, mechanical devices, atomic devices, they were very much developed during that time. And we know that the contribution of Dr. Homi Bhabha, contribution of Vikram Sarabhai and Abdul Kalam ji and many others, and CSI laboratories has given us a empowerment which we can see today in the research also in the CSI laboratories. So this is what I just want to focus few things. I think that my time is almost over, Vice Chancellor Sahab, but I spoke few things about the Naitalim and what we actually need